Hi guys, it is Tuesday, but it's actually Tuesday of last week that I'm recording this. We are again away, and this video, again, I will be using this as attendance, so you need to watch it all the way through to get your attendance for today. So, we are continuing our conversation about job outlooks, which is talking about the fact that jobs themselves are looking for certain types of employees. So it's not just about the type of job that you would like to do. It really matters what employers are actually looking for. Some people stress on one or the other. I think that both are very important. I think that what you guys want to do with your lives is just as important as what the working world wants to have done. The two kind of have to meet up in a way, or else things really don't work well. And I know that you guys may not have exactly the job that you would like to do fleshed out at this point. Some of you guys had numerous jobs that you're interested in. That's great. You're going to be kind of looking at one of those today. Maybe it's the one that you've been kind of saying, well, this is kind of pointing more in the direction of this is what I'd like to do. And you guys actually working on this is the best thing that you can do right now. So just actually exploring and not really knowing and testing the water and figuring stuff out, figuring how much a job pays, how much they expect you to work, those kind of things, and finding out what you like and what you don't like. Those are the most important things that you can be doing right now. So this worksheet isn't very long at all. So kind of like previous worksheets, there are a couple places that aren't boxes that I want you to write. So if you see numbers, then I want you to fill those out, even though I don't have blocks there because I put blocks in and it was too messy. But then, of course, the areas where I've put in a text field, that's where I want you to answer. So where you guys are going to be looking at these jobs is this website that's up here, and it's also going to be in the classroom assignment sort of instructions. I'll have the website there. And what you guys are going to be looking up is you're going to be looking up one of the jobs that you've been interested in. So you're going to be looking it up on this website here. So this website is the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is where they're trying to figure out which jobs have the best outlook in the future. In other words, which jobs are growing the most, which jobs are going to be the most in demand, and which jobs are going away, so that people have an educated idea of what jobs are out there. So on this website, there's a number of things. Up here, it seems like this is where you would start, but I'm actually not going to have you guys work on this because this is kind of someone who's like, well, I'm looking for these very specific things for my type of work and what kind of jobs are out there. And you can do that on your own, but I think this is kind of a really backwards way of doing things because usually you want to be happy with what you're doing. So it should more be you looking at jobs that you're interested in and finding out the realities and if that works for you. Down here at the bottom, I'm just going to go over these with you. So they have these three categories, and it says browse occupations by highest paying, fastest growing, which means the jobs that they're going to have a lot more of, a lot more demand, and most new jobs. So the jobs that they think are going to start being created. So there's always jobs that are going away and jobs that are emerging. So you have to think about technology as it moves forward, so on and so forth. So um, when you think about it, telephone repairmen, that's not really a thing anymore when you think about the old telephones that sits on desks. Now, cell phone repair people, that is a growing job field as more and more people want their cell phones and tablets repaired instead of replaced if it's cheaper. So that is a growing field. So we'll go through these together, and then I will do a search for a job. But let's first look at highest paying jobs, if my internet will play along with me. Okay, so it has them kind of all spelled out here. Psychiatrists. So this is someone that deals with mental health. Obstetricians and gynecologists. These are specialized medical fields. Surgeons, except ophthalmologists, not sure why there's that exception. Prosthodontists, those are people that make fake teeth. Oral and maxillofacial surgeons, so those are mouth doctors, mouth surgeons. Orthodontists, so these are the people that give you braces. If you've ever had braces, you will know that they are super expensive, or your parents will. Anesthesiologist, this is someone that puts people to sleep when they're having surgery. It's a very precise science. It's very dangerous putting people to sleep. For surgery, too much or too little can go either direction. Physicians, all other ophthalmologists except pediatric. Family medical physicians, this is just a family doctor that you would go to if you were sick. General internal medicine physicians. Chief executives, and it just keeps on going on down here. Airline pilots, co-pilots, and flight engineers. So it doesn't have, maybe those flight jobs that you are the most interested in, but airline jobs do pay well, just not maybe the ones inside the plane serving people. Computer information and system managers, architectural engineers, managers, petroleum engineers, judges, judges, and magistrates. I have no idea why they say judges, magistrate, judge, and magistrates. Okay, so these are all the highest paying jobs right now. So if you were saying, I want to make $1 million in what, holy moly, 5 years, then you would have to go all the way up to psychiatrist, which is all the way up to a doctorate in education. So most of these jobs actually come from a lot of professional degree programs. So one of the things you're going to be looking at is, what does the job that I'm interested in pay comparatively? So, and understand that most living wage jobs, if you were to say, what's a living wage job right now? A living wage job is $60,000 or more. That is what is called a living wage at this point. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to show you a different category that they have here on this website. Down here on one of the bubbles. The next one is fastest growing projected jobs. So this is the jobs that are going to have the most openings in the future. Let's see, while that loads. What are you doing, puppy? Where are you? Come here. We'll have a puppy break while the video loads. Here she is. There's the puppy while the video, or while the page loads. It's taking forever. Oh, puppy. How are you, puppy? Okay, here we go. All right. So, fastest growing occupations. So, right now, one of the biggest ones at the top here is wind turbine service technician. So, wind turbines are proving to be a really effective way to generate electricity, especially in places where they don't have access to water in form of dams. So, wind turbines aren't as they don't have as many in Oregon because we have mountains and so on, where it's not so windy, but in flat areas like Eastern Oregon, and the more you head east into the central states, they are installing more and more wind turbines to create electricity, and those sometimes go out and need someone to go and fix them. The next growing one is a nurse practitioner. So nurse practitioners are kind of this growth field for nurses, because nurses have been a growing field overall. Nurse practitioners are becoming more and more in demand because they can do more than a nurse. So of course they would want a nurse who can do the most. So it used to be that just having any kind of nursing training was good. Now they want someone with who is an RN or a registered nurse, and then it jumped up to they want someone who has a bachelor's in nursing, so they have an actual degree in nursing, and now they're bumping it up, saying now we want nurse practitioners. That's the most in demand. The next secondary growing job is solar installers. Now, what's interesting about solar installers is that it may not take a lot of education to do it. A lot of solar systems anymore are pretty plug and play. And there's a lot of smaller solar companies that are coming out that buy their parts and they go and install it on people's homes, and charge a rate almost like a construction job. You have to know, some ins and outs about solar. You have to know where to put them, how to install them on a roof that you don't damage the roof, of course. I think that's probably the biggest liability, is that you put holes in a roof and then the roof starts to leak. Occupational therapy assistants, statisticians, which is a math job where you work on statistics, home health and personal care aides. So it's important to pay attention over here again to the pay. So this job is sort of a nursing job that's kind of entry level. This is one where you would go and visit someone in the home and help care for an elderly person in the home, but it does not pay anywhere close to a living wage. I would say it's a good entry level position, but it's not necessarily a career. Physical therapist assistants, medical and health service managers, physician assistants, information security analysts, data scientists, and mathematical science occupations, all other. Derrick operations, oil and gas. Rotary drill operators, oil and gas. Roustabouts, oil and gas. Speech language pathologists, so people that help people with speech impediments. Operations research analysis, substance abuse, behavioral disorder, and mental health counselors. Forest fire inspectors and prevention specialists. There's an interesting field to get into. Cooks at restaurants. People need food. One thing that's come out of this pandemic is how much people rely on restaurants and so on to get their food. So they're always going to need food. And then animal caretakers. So these are the fastest growing, with wind turbine technicians being one of the highest. Now, things to consider is wind turbine technicians probably have to drive all over the place to get to where something needs to be repaired. And the thing that I think about with this job is I don't really enjoy heights very much, and I don't like climbing ladders. And I'm guessing a wind turbine technician has to climb those poles all the way to the top before they can open them up and start working on them. I have seen wind turbines that are being worked on, and to me, it just looks like the scariest endeavor you could be on. They go up there and they open up the casing and they put a tent over it, and then they work on the turbine inside. And I think, oh my goodness, that is a job, but you get paid for it. And then the last category here is the most new jobs. So these are jobs that are just hot on the market. Moving forward, there's some jobs that are going to go away. And one of the things I've mentioned in this class or in other classes, there's jobs that are going to be going away. Truck driving is probably going to go away in the next 10 years as they have more and more automated driving trucks. So in the future, trucks that drive trailers are going to be driven most likely robotically. A lot of jobs are being replaced by robots, and a lot of the jobs that are emerging are more taking care of the technology that is replacing other jobs. So when it comes to jobs that are really emerging are home health and personal care aides. So a lot of people are not wanting to put their loved ones in a nursing home. They would much rather hire someone to come into their parents' home or their grandparents' home once or twice a week to care for them. Again, this is not a high-paying job, so it's not something to get too excited about. Fast food and counter workers, that is one that's really grown. And I think that one thing that's going on here is how many people just don't know how to cook for themselves. So they're relying on takeout and fast food quite a bit more. Restaurant cooks, software developers and software quality assurance analysts and testers, registered nurses, general operations managers, medical assistants, medical and health service managers, market research analysis, marketing specialists, laborers and freight, stock and material movers, landscaping and groundkeeping workers, nursing assistants. So nursing assistant is a little bit more than the in-home. That's someone where a nursing assistant is someone that takes just less than a year's worth of training, and they can become a nursing assistant. You become a CNA, and you get paid more per hour just by taking less than a year's worth of classes. Nurse practitioners, again, pretty new. Emerging on the field, financial managers, janitors, and cleaners. So because of the virus, there's a stronger need for everything to be clean, and they're guessing that there's going to be a large need for that in the future, as people are not going to be comfortable if anything is dirty. Waiters and waitresses, passenger vehicle drivers, except bus drivers, transit, and intercity. So I think that when it talks about this, and it says except bus drivers, transit, and intercity, it's saying that this is mainly like Uber drivers, small companies that transport people in cities. Management analysis, project management specialists, substance abuse, behavioral disorder, and mental health counselors. I remember I had a senior who's very interested in this. I was a little bit shocked by how little it paid. So I'm wondering what type of training that this would need. That's something that I'd be interested in looking into, because it does not even pay a living wage to be a counselor in this. And I don't think that's quite I don't think that's, I would say continue your education so that you could be a psychologist that helps them in this. All right. So those are the three fields. You can look at those on your own and dig a little deeper. What you guys are going to be doing in this worksheet is you are going to be looking up the job that you would like to do. So I don't have you guys on the call to let me know what you're interested in. So I'll just look at some that you guys have told me. Photographer has been one that I've heard from a number of students. People like taking pictures. So we'll look up a photographer. Okay, here we go. Top result, photographer. All right, quick facts about photographers. It says median pay is 36,280 per year, or $17.44 per hour. Typical entry-level education, work experience in related occupations, none. On-job training, moderate term on-the-job training. Number of jobs in 2019, with 133,000. Then it gets down here and it says job outlook between 2019 and 2029. So this is pretty pertinent for you guys, because you will be graduating high school in 2024. I believe that's your guys' year. And so even if you went to college, this is still in that area. So what it's saying is that it's seeing a decline in this position. So it's not as growing. It's not a position that's growing. It's a position that is declining. I think it's yesterday I watched a commercial for the new iPhone, and one of the things that it was saying was now you could actually produce an entire movie on your iPhone, and they were challenging people to do this, to make an entire movie just using your iPhone, which is great. It opens up sort of a playing field for people that may not be able to afford an entire production studio, but it also means that that's now a job field that used to have a lot of jobs, and it's going to start to be challenged a little bit. So, what do photographers do? Work environment, how to become a photographer, pay, job outlook, and it's all kind of spelled out here. So, this is the information that you're looking for to fill out your worksheet. So, let's go back to the worksheet. So on the worksheet, I have you go and look up your job on that website. So in the first block, all you have to do is say, what's the job that you're looking at? You say, I'm looking at photographer. So you write that in there. The next question is nature of work. Name three things, three kinds of routine things that you would be doing on a regular basis. So photographer, it would be, setting up gigs, taking photos, editing photos, that pretty much. And you'll see all of that kind of in here. What do they do? And if you don't have enough information in one sentence, I think it's kind of cool for you guys that they break it down into one sentence, but that you can click on the link and it gives you more info about what photographers do. Working conditions. List three key phrases that would describe some of the working conditions of your occupation. So I would say for a photographer, you're going to be on site, indoor, outdoor, whatever you want to say. Employment. How many people in the United States are employed in your occupation? So it kind of really spells it out for you right here, right at the top. In 2019, and they kind of base it off the last year. At the end of this year, they'll know how many photographers there were. So it was 133,500 jobs that were in photography this year. Training, other qualifications and advancements. So this job is an entry level. They don't really require that you have any education. Are there degree programs that you can get in photography? Yes, there are certificates. There are 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees. It really depends. Some places will require those, but it sounds like most jobs don't. Training facility. Find one facility, university or university, college, VOTEC, training center, etc., that can provide the kind of training necessary for your career. Include the website here for the website for that facility. So all you would have to do is say, look up how to become a photographer, and it says sometimes you need a bachelor's degree, so you would have to look up university that has a degree in photography or photography degree. I would say do a Google search for photography degree near me. I told you LCC has one. I'll tell you U of O has one. I already know that. So just to jump the gun there. Job outlook. What is the outlook for employment at your occupation through the year 2022? What factors listed are contributing to any change or stability in your occupation? So, in the brief summary for this job, they've listed that there's going to be a 4% decline. Now, on this part, and I'm okay with you sort of copying and pasting. So I would say expand the job outlook tab and kind of find just a small snippet that you could copy and paste for me. Here's a good one. It says photographers will face strong competition for most jobs because of the relative ease with which photographers may enter the occupation. There will be many qualified candidates for relatively few positions. So it's saying it's a very competitive field. My daughter hired a photographer for her wedding, and it seems like they really have to do this. It's not just photographs of the wedding, they create like this whole narrative. It's all very interesting now, but it sounds like she had a lot of people that she could choose from for her photography needs. And then earnings. List the median annual income for your occupation. That's back at the top. And that's $36,280 a year. Again, this is not what would be considered a living wage. A living wage, depending on your life situation, has to be at least $45,000 to $60,000 a year. This is actually very close to what's called the poverty line. So you definitely would not want this to be your primary source of income, unless maybe your partner has another job that pays more. It all kind of depends on the situation. But this job does not pay very well, and it's more of a gig job, so you don't have that job security. unless it's a job like the one that one of our students found where you're taking photographs of cars for a used car dealership, and you just pull out a car, take a bunch of pictures of the outside and the inside, make it look good, and put it on their website. So that seemed to be like a full-time, regular paid position, and I believe it paid a little bit more than this, but it wasn't a very exciting job. And then, and I want to mention to you guys that you guys have had a bad habit of like finishing the first page and then like getting to page 2 on something and just like quitting. Seriously, usually there's like 2 questions left on the next page. Just make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom before you give up on something. So what range of earnings would you expect to find? So it seems like that's already kind of spelled out. I would say that you could get paid more than that. It really depends on how many hours per week that you could find. Related occupations. List 3 occupations related to yours. And they're going to have that in there. One of them that I already saw was they pointed to being a scientific photographer. There's photographers that work for um, services like human records. There's photographers that work for agencies like the police and so on. Forensic sciences uses photography quite a lot. So there are other occupations that are related. After researching this occupation, what are your personal thoughts on your interest in making this a career? Would you see yourself doing this job in the future? Why or why not? So this is just my usual open-ended reflection question that I want you guys to fill out. So this is the worksheet. It'll be in Classroom, and this video, again, I will be using as my source of attendance. So make sure that you watch this video all the way to the end so that you don't not understand how to do the worksheet and you're confused and you say, I don't know what to do, so I didn't do it. Don't do that. All right. I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys on the flip side.